welcome to the BAFTAs.
Tonight is one of the most important dates in the movie calendar, and the brightest stars of the big screen are descending on London's Royal Opera House to celebrate.
I love London.
It's nice. It's my first time here at the BAFTA, so it's nice to see what it's all about.
Quite exciting on the red carpet this evening. There's a little bit of drizzle, but that's not dampening people's enthusiasm.
Well, it's always a little rainy, and I'm a girl who loves the rain, so I'm happy to be here.
BAFTA have chosen to give me a fellowship. I am a fellow now.
I'm 18, and these guys are like award-winning actors, and this is my first film, and just to be nominated alongside these amazing names I've won.
Hi, I'm Mr. Rourke.
Hello. The film's done.
So what do you think?
I think we need some heaters here.
You're used to working in the cold.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been out in the cold for years myself.
The film's
What's
done
it
so
like
incredibly.
back in the limelight then?
It's really nice. I mean, the biggest thing that's been, the nicest thing, or that feels the best is the strangers, the people on the street, have been very supportive. The ones that go see the films have said they just said the nicest shit. And it's been really a great feeling to hear this kind of, to get this kind of support with this particular film. Because for me, it was the hardest movie I ever made, and to me, it's the best movie I've ever made. And the wrestling community in America has really embraced this film. The WWE, Vince McMahon and Roddy Piper and Nature Boy Ric Flair, and this was their world, and they've been supportive of the film, and to me, that's the highest compliment.
Where's your daughter tonight?
She's ill. She's in New York getting better. She had a stroke, but she's with me in spirit, and I'll see her in a few days. Loki. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And welcome to the Orange British Academy Film Awards from the beautiful Royal Opera House in London's Covent Garden. Our next award is for leading actor. To present this award, a worthy recipient of a BAFTA at last year's ceremony for her amazing performance as Edith Piaf, the gorgeous, the talented, the French, Marion Cotillard.
And the BAFTA goes to Mickey Rourke.
It's a pretty statue. Thank you to BAFTA, to Optimum Pictures, to Fox Searchlight. Darren Aronofsky gave me a second chance after f***ing up my career for 15 years. I want to thank my agent who put his career in jeopardy by representing me several years ago, David Unger. I want to thank my publicist, Paula Woods, for having the hardest job in show business, telling me where to go, what to do, when to do it, what to eat, what to dress, what the oh, God. It's such a pleasure to be here and to be back out of the darkness. I'd like to thank Marissa Tomei for putting up with me. She's a hell of a talent. It was very brave of her to take her clothes off all the time, and I enjoyed looking at her. The other thing, okay, last but not least, did I thank Peter Rice? Yeah, Peter Rice, okay. I don't want to forget anybody. My memory's not that great. So I'd like to dedicate this to an actor who's not here anymore that was a great friend of mine, and his spirit and his talent live on, the great Richard Harris. Thank you very much.
The great Mickey Rourke, and I'm afraid after that speech, he's now suspended for 3 months, okay? So now on start. My next guest is a Hollywood legend. One woman on her own down the front went, He's a Golden Globe and BAFTA winner. I'm thinking of touring later this year. Are you available? I might need you to help. He is the one and only Mr. Mickey Rourke, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, right there. He's there for us. Mickey Rourke. Hi, Mickey. Good to see you. Mickey. Back on the show. Great to have you here. Mickey Rourke, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Mickey, you had a long... and it's probably the first time you've seen yourself on a pancake, I imagine, Mickey? Even with the life you've led. He's imagined it a few times, but this is for real. Here we go. Look at this. Here we go. Look at that. It's pretty good, isn't it? Although I think Mickey's quite easy, because it's just hair and glasses and a bit of a moustache. Please welcome the one and only Mickey Rourke, ladies and gentlemen. Mickey Rourke. Come and sit down, Mickey. Oh. Wow. He's a strong man. Great to see you. Come and sit. Well, that's what I like to see. Relax.
Relax.
Well, first of all, two things. One is Mickey gave me a little hug there. Man, he's strong. He's like a bear crush. I think I've damaged a rib. Strong man.
It's the steroids.
Congratulations. And I've got to say, I'm loving the shoes. Check out these shoes. Look at that, the full blue suede going on there. That's looking good. Wow. Good styling. Now, congratulations are due to Mickey Rourke for just an outstanding performance in a remarkable movie, The Wrestler. What a film. Congratulations. You must be over the moon with the way it's been received and the work itself, I'm sure.
Why didn't you show The Wrestler? You showed a movie from 200 years ago.
We're going to show The Wrestler in a minute. I wanted to do that in the middle. We've got this, because I'm saving the best to last, Mickey. Okay. But that's a great film as well.
Yeah.
Is
it
it
was
weird
a hard film.
Why was Angel Heart hard?
Because, you know, it was Alan Parker. He was very strict. And I had a really bad reputation at the time. I don't know why. And I think, you know, the day Alan Parker met me, and I have all the respect in the world for him. I mean, I loved all his movies. And he just, as he introduced himself to me, he started scolding me. And I went, I haven't done anything yet. You know? So he would yell at me before I would do anything. And then he had, you know, Robert would improvise, and then I'd improvise back, and then Robert would go, Mickey's improvising, and Alan said, Robert doesn't want you to improvise. And I go, if he improvises, I'm going to be able to improvise back. You know? So I got yelled at because I was the young, you know.
But you know what, that period, here's the thing, and if you saw the BAFTAs, when Mickey turned up to collect his award for the fabulous performance in The Wrestler, you gave that speech, and it was a very lovely speech. It was quite moving, and it was interesting in a number of different ways. But one of the things you said was how you'd kind of messed up your career for quite a while, and how to get it back was his choice. Yeah. That is quite something to look back on, I guess. I mean, that period must be now... I mean, did you have to go through that, do you think, to get where you were today, or was it just a terrible mistake, a terrible misstep?
It was an accumulation of many mistakes, yeah. It was, you know, you go out there and you think you can rise above the shit, and you fall into it, and you know, it's about being accountable. And with me, in the beginning, there were no rules. I wasn't accountable. I wasn't... you know, I thought it didn't matter if I showed up to work an hour late, you know. They'd get over it. But, you know, movies, they go by the day. It's like, you know, a lot of money each day. And if you show up 2 hours late, that's a lot of, you know.
But in a way, obviously, you damaged your career. In other ways, as a person, as experiences you went through, you must have had some great times, some remarkable times. There must be some great memories you have from that period, as well as the bad memories.
I had some really good memories, and my memory's not that great, so I sort of like live in the moment.
So you think you've got some great memories, but you're not quite sure.
Yeah. I mean, when I come here, this is like second home for me, you know, and it's like, I've been staying in the same hotel, in the same room for 20 years at Blake's, you know, and I was in there last night, and I was having a really great time, and I was in Australia and England at the same time, and it was
wow! So you have lots of fans all over the world. Will sometimes show their appreciation.
I was trying to recall some of the nights that I've had there for 20 years, and I could only remember one or two.
Well, but then again, if you're enjoying a new one, why wallow in memories? Now, let me ask you about something else you said in the BAFTA speech, which was a lovely thing to hear. You mentioned one person in particular.
Yes.
You mentioned the great actor, and we were lucky enough to have him on this show several times, and I spent some time with him, Mr. Richard Harris.
Right.
And I was surprised. I didn't know you were close to Richard. I didn't know that he was a part of your life. How did you know Richard, and what was he to you?
I was a big fan of Richard's, and in that whole era of actors at that time, and especially Richard. Especially I met him here, and then he was in Los Angeles for a while, and I'd heard a lot of stories about him. You know, about he was, you know, this and that, and you know, most of them weren't true. It's the same thing like about me. It's not. I haven't done all those things that people sometimes accuse you of doing, and sort of. So Richard and I sort of had a rapport and a friendship, and he would advise me about, like, don't do this movie. If you do that movie, there's going to be these repercussions, you know. And
so and I imagine that's advice for someone who'd been through similar things.
He'd been through them, and I thought, oh, that was Richard, and then I'd go do them. And now, as the years have gone by, I went, you know, I really should have listened closer to Richard, because Richard, he'd been there and done it, and he'd done it well, and
Can I say something? And it might seem strange, but you know, I don't know what was driving you. I don't know what turmoil was inside you that drove you to the extremes of behaviour that maybe sometimes you did. But at the same time, that, I think, came through on screen. And I think those early movies you made, there's something that comes through from you, even films like 9.5 Weeks, stuff like that could have been fairly straightforward fare. There's something about you on screen which I think comes from whatever was inside you back then that eventually almost killed your career, but it actually also gave you a career in the beginning.
Yeah. Yes, my psychiatrist would agree with you.
We must hang out more, your psychiatrist and I.
Yeah, I remember after 10 years of going to him, you know, when the roof fell in, I think after about 9.5 years, I said to him one day, Steve, let me ask you a question. I said, you know, was I crazy? And I went, man, you're not supposed to say that. You know? And then he went, not anymore. So, you know, I mean, we worked through some shit.
That's what a great thing to hear, though, isn't it? We mentioned, we're going to talk about the rest of this in a minute, but let me talk about some of your early movies. Which are the ones that you look back on and with admiration or with respect for the work you did and the finished product itself, and which are the ones you look back and say, OK, I clearly did that just for the money, I clearly did that just to...
Do you have a list in front of you with the movies?
Well, I can tell you some of your films. Well, I'll tell you some of my...
Can I just go like this?
OK, OK, here we go. Diner. Really? I would have thought for Diner.
That's you.
OK. Rumblefish. Yeah. 9.5 Weeks. OK, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. There was a weird one I saw you in, which I know where your thumb's going to go for this one, but it's kind of Double Team. Yeah, that was...
I was broke, come on.
That was such a weird...
That was... I couldn't get a job. I had left to go back to the boxing, and I was what they call unbondable.
So they couldn't insure you for the film?
I was not insurable, yeah.
Wow. But then, you know, it turned around for you gradually, and there must have been people who saw you, who wanted to help. I know Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone helped me, and I was sitting eating in a restaurant one night in a fancy place, and I could barely pay for the bowl of pasta I was eating, and I look up, and Sly's sitting there standing above me. Hey, you're looking good, you know. I said, oh, thank you. And he says, I need somebody in the movie. It looks like they can kick my ass. And I said, well, I can do that. And, so he gave me a job, and what a lot of people don't know is he was very generous. They offered me the movie, and the producer was a real piece of shit, and he offered me crappy money, and I said no. And I was broke, but it was a matter of principle. Sly called me back a little while later, and he says, hey, did he offer you a disrespectable amount of money? I said, yeah. He said, would you do it for such and such? And I said, yeah. He called me back and he says, you got it. Then I go up there to work, up in Toronto, and his bodyguard pulled me over and he says, you know, that piece of shit wouldn't pay you the money. Sly gave you the money out of his pocket. So,
wow.
I mean...
No,
you know, so, you know,
Sylvester Stallone.
You know.
Come on, I love Sylvester Stallone anyway.
Yeah.
You're about to work with him again, aren't you? Are you going to be in this film?
One day. I'm doing one day because I just got done doing a movie with called 13 with Ray Winston, Jason Statham, and Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent.
Can I just check? That's not going to be a romantic comedy with that cast.
No. Jason's going to do it. Jason and I became very good friends.
Jason Statham, I'm hoping to get him on the show. I love seeing his movies now.
Well,
he's a good action guy, isn't he? He
never goes to bed.
Does he not go to bed?
Oh, he could go.
You know what I love to see is the fact that you're enjoying life, that you're back on top, and obviously, having gone through the experience you went through, obviously you're appreciating it more this time, I guess.
Yeah, well...
And in a way, did it come to you a bit too easily early on, do you think?
I don't think it came to me too easily. What happened is, like anybody else, I came from no money. I started to make a lot of money. I had more friends than I needed. I had an entourage from hell. And I started living above my means. And then all of a sudden, you're taking a movie that you don't like, and you're working with a director you don't care for to pay for some house that's too big for you to live in.
For the wrong reasons, yeah.
Yeah, and then you lose respect for yourself, for your, you know, the...
But what's so weird is looking at your career and reading up about you is, is that for all the great movies you made, you turned down some which wound up being just as good, would have been just as good, and perhaps even better with you in it. Yeah. Rain Man was offered to you, I believe.
You know, I never comment on these things because other actors have
other
done
actors
the
went
roles.
on to do them, I know. But several, I can comment.
Yeah.
Rain Man, Platoon, Silence of the Lambs, Pulp Fiction, which you would have been brilliant.
I heard you talked a lot.
Yeah, but you turned down those roles. And even if we remove the names from the finished show...
I had reasons, I had crazy, mad reasons for doing that.
So they weren't reasons that you now think...
No, they were real, like, angry reasons, you know? I had met Oliver Stone, and I think he pissed me off or something.
Yeah. So little things.
Little things. He just pissed me off at dinner. That was it.
And so now you're calmer now. You don't... Little things like that don't get you as easily.
No. Oh, no. After what I've been through, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to the desert for 14 years, see how you feel. Yeah.
3 months almost finished me off. All right, now, let's show you a clip now. I don't know how many people... It's been out for a few weeks. I don't know how many people have not yet seen The Wrestler. But if you haven't seen it, you have to go and see this movie. You must be... I mean, obviously, it's being rewarded. You're picking up awards. But regardless of that, just being involved in this must be a great thing for you.
I'm very proud of it. It's the hardest movie I ever had to make, and I feel it's the best movie I've ever made. And what I'm really proud about is I didn't know shit about wrestling, the wrestling community, the WWE, Vince McMahon, Rowdy Piper, the legendary Nature Boy, Ric Flair, they all came to the premiere, and they've embraced the movie, and that means a lot to me.
This is The Wrestler. In making the movie, the preparation, a lot of people are a little dismissive of wrestling. They see it as showbiz, as razzmatazz. They don't see it as a real sport, even.
I do too.
Yeah, once you've actually experienced it, what's it actually like? Is it tough, or is it more kind of like...
I did not have, myself, any respect for the wrestling profession at all. Having come from a proper boxing background, I thought, this is shit. It's a predetermined, choreographed outcome, and I was disappointed that this great director that I wanted to work with wanted to make a movie like this, and then finally I let that go, and I thought, you know, I need to work with a guy like this director, and man, these guys are big too, so I had to go spend 7 months putting on about 28 pounds.
Wow. So you bulk up, so that's a big diet. You're eating a lot and you're working out a lot.
Eat 6 to 7 times a day, and then 2 split workout routines, lifting heavy weights, and 45 minutes of cardio.
That's an intense, and I imagine that must really get you. It must be a bit, not soul destroying, but it must be really tough to keep going.
It is hard. You got to, over an 8-month period to put on not just fat but muscle. It was really hard, you know, because these guys are big, and it was the only way to pull it off.
Yeah, but you've still got you're still working out and stuff, aren't you?
Oh yeah, but not like that. That's it, and I thought, oh, it's going to be fun to be able to eat whatever I want. Yeah. But you reach a plateau where it's going. My trainer would say to me, "Did you have that other meal?" And I'd already eat 4 or 5 meals, and I'd say no. And he goes, "Well, you have to have 6 more eggs and another chicken breast." And it's 9 o'clock at night.
That's not.
And then he'd call up and go, "Did you have the protein shake?" You know.
Wow. So you begin to not like, and I guess you don't like something.
Hated it.
You don't. I mean, steroids weren't used, I'm sure, but were drugs used? Do you need supplements as well to deal with this change? Okay. In a way, no answer is worse than an answer. Okay, so it's an arduous thing to put your body through.
A lot of protein shakes.
No, okay, a lot of protein shakes.
A lot of push-ups.
And did you get damaged much? I know you got.
Yeah, I ended up. Well, this is going back to answering your question. After about a month and a half, I went, man, these guys are athletes, and I do have a renewed respect for this sport because I ended up with 3 MRIs in 2 months.
Wow.
because you get some big.
So that's a scan, isn't it? That's
well, you get some big cat picking you up and throwing you down, and you don't know. These guys take years to learn how to flop. They call it to, and
to break the impact.
Yeah, to break it. And I'm landing like a lump of shit, and everything's rattling, and I'm walking around like this. I lived on a 3-story walk-up. He's pushing me up the stairs every night because my legs couldn't carry the weight.
Just exhausted.
And then he's walking me down like Frankenstein in the morning, like this.
Or like a cockney, I believe, apparently.
Going up like this, yeah, at night. And, wow. And, my neck went out, my knee went out.
And this is what these guys go for on a regular basis, at every level of the game, I guess.
Yeah, and so when you see these guys that are, let's say, in their late 30s and early 40s that are still doing it, they can barely tie their shoes because, they feed off the adrenaline of the audience. And you got 60,000 people in an arena, and they're doing a flip off the top rope. Maybe 40% of the time, they're not going to land right. And something's going to really pop or...
So people are going home hurt every evening from those events.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to see the Mexican wrestling? Because they are big on it in Mexico.
I saw it when I was doing my research, because it's pretty wild. They have Rey Mysterio, who does all these flips and stuff. But I'm actually going to go to my first one to WrestleMania in Houston.
You're not going to wrestle, though?
We had talked about that, but now that I'm listening to other people other than myself, I'm not going to be allowed to wrestle, and I'm going to take their advice.
So, Mickey, this is what we've learned over the years: to listen to other voices. Sometimes
I was halfway there,
not just the ones inside.
Yeah.
But I can see the temptation because you love the idea, and I think you like the combat.
I like the physical thing,
Yeah, I understand. When I went Mexican wrestling, I bought some masks myself, and this is the one I favour. Yeah, you didn't wear one in the film, of course.
I did not wear one.
Here, hold on. This is a good feeling.
We should have done the whole show like this.
That's it. What a great look at that. This is a good look. This is good. This should be our publicity photo.
Yeah.
And you might, I don't know if you know this, but, I should admit this, but during my suspension period, I was actually hosting a show in Mexico called Friday Noches.
Well, here, come over here. You sit over here.
Okay, no one needs to.
I'll sit over here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Man, I've been through some bad shit over there. I said, Bobby, if you're improvising, I want to improvise. Piece of shit wouldn't listen to me. No, keep going, I will get taken off again. Well, that was like... Oh, blimey, I don't know what's going on now. I'm a bit dizzy and confused.
Oh,
All right, let's take the mask off. We want to see you again. That's too frightening. And then you've got floppy ears on your one.
I had a rough night,
Yeah, sounds to me like you had a great night. Before you go, I've got a gift for you. Here's one of the many things I love about Mickey Rourke. And I've been a fan of yours for years. I'm so thrilled you're back.
I've been a fan of yours, and I'm so thrilled that you're back.
I so wish you couldn't say that to me. Ow, that still hurts. It still hurts. It's vibrating now.
I didn't mean to do it that hard.
Now my shoulder hurts as well. One of the things I love about Mickey is he has a deep and abiding passion for his dogs. How many dogs do you have now?
Loki.
Well, you've got 6. A picture of the dog with you? Oh, wow. Oh, that's a Chihuahua, yeah? Short-haired Chihuahua?
Yeah.
And is that Loki?
No, that's Loki's father.
Loki's father.
Loki's home. Loki had a stroke.
Oh, no, how old's Loki?
She's only 18 and a half.
Well, that's not bad innings for a Chihuahua.
Yeah, but I need her here. I need her here.
You love Loki?
Well, I love Loki.
I have a little gift for you. I bought you some collars for your dog. These are from a place called... I bought some for my dog, and I think they love it. They're a place called Holly and Lil. I went online, and we chose this for you. But this one, I think, for one of your special trials, these are all special. Look, that one's got a bit of tweed, very English.
Oh, yeah.
That one's got dice, if there's one that likes gambling. I like this here for you. This is a kind of a pirate one. It's got skull and crossbones.
Jaws.
This is for Jaws?
Jaws.
There you go. You've got to promise one thing, Mickey.
What's that?
Send us a picture of Jaws wearing that, and we'll show it on the show.
I promise you I'll do that.
OK. Before you go, Mickey, coming up is the Oscars. You've had a pretty good run on the awards front. I have my fingers crossed. I hope you get it for the rest as well. Just to be nominated must be a tremendous thing. I wouldn't have thought you expected that necessarily to happen again so soon. But to be up there at the top again, what does the Oscars mean to you?
It would, you know what? After my drought, it would mean everything. But it's like, I mean, it would be an honor.
Best of luck with it. I hope you get it. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of whether he gets an Oscar this year or not, you've got to go and see the rest of it. It's one of the best movies I've seen, well, ever. It's Mr. Mickey Rourke, ladies and gentlemen.
All the best to you.
Take care.
Take care. God bless.
And love her. The dogs will love her, I hope. I know. Take care of yourself. Mickey Rourke, one and only.
I should have come that way.
You come any way you want. It's you can do what you want. Wow. Mickey, you look fantastic. The hair's come off, and you've lost quite a lot of weight since the wrestling, I guess, haven't you? Have you been working on that?
It took about 1.5 years, but I still have a lot more to take
But doesn't
off.
he look fantastic, ladies and gentlemen? He looks incredible. Well done. It must be... And I know from experience, when you get older, it's a little bit harder to
When you
lose.
get what?
When you get harder. When you get harder at our age, it's hard to get rid of it, isn't it? And the hair, is this for part, or is this just for the summer? What is this?
A little of both. Yeah, a little of both.
What's the part? Can you tell us what it is?
What part is it? I don't know yet.
But it requires a shorter haircut. This much we established.
Not really. I just got tired of it.
Great. It looks great.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about the kind of parts you seek out, because let's face it, your career is right back on track. I mean, you're getting big films and big parts, but I'm guessing the kind of roles you're looking for are less the action roles, even though you're great in them, you love doing them, more the roles like that, character pieces.
The action roles are really quite boring to do. I think as long as, it's like anything else, you got to just keep challenging yourself, and otherwise, it's like I remember reading a book about a great director who directed James Dean and Marlon Brando, and he says, most great actors will only do 3 really great movies in their whole career, because eventually what happens, and this is a quote from the book, is you turn to wax fruit. You get used to it.
You become a star, or is that because just your acting style becomes a star?
I just think you get used to, you start to mail it in, you know, and so you just got to keep doing your road work and challenging yourself and fall. You know, you could do a movie where you're going to fall on your ass, but you took the chance to go the distance a little bit, you know, instead of doing a safe movie that's easy, that's a guaranteed blockbuster.
So when you had the kind of, well, I don't know what you call it, meltdown sounds wrong, but when you kind
14 years out of work?
When you lost your way before, was that because the parts weren't what you wanted to be? Was it because you weren't happy, you weren't satisfied with what you were doing? Was that one of the reasons?
No, I think when I lost my way, was, I think I resented the fact of being treated differently, being kind of successful and having notoriety and having some money and being a Hollywood actor. And then I thought, you know, where were all these people, you know, when I was this big? And I think it sort of, it ate at me. It's like, you know, I don't need them now that I'm a man, but, you know, when you're a kid, it's a different...
You needed that, and that wasn't there for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody goes through that shit, you know, but it made me short-circuit. So it was an anger issue. You know, the tabloids all say, oh, he had a drug problem or a drinking problem. That's the easy way to label it, you know. But it was a lot deeper than that.
There was a deeper problem.
It was deeper than that.
Turned you to drugs.
Sort of like your hairdo, yeah. There's got to be a reason that you
just because you've
still comb your hair like
just
that.
Just because you've gone, well, I did this as an homage to you. I said, give me the Mickey Rourke this evening.
Yeah.
I'm taking it off. I'm dyeing it blue for the summer.
You are?
Yeah, I might do. That's the only same way to respond to that. Ignore it. So, you know, you mentioned before, you came on and you told me how Sylvester Stallone was one guy who came and kind of bailed you out, and he said, I want you to work again.
Well, you know, I've repeated the story before, so I hope I'm not boring anybody, but I had to work for 14 years, you know, living in this dump, and I had a phone. At the time, I didn't have an agent, so I used to, like, spend hours just looking, go, would you ring, please? And I thought, okay, all I had left were my motorcycles and my clothes. So I put my best shit on and went out to have a nice meal in a good place by myself, because when you're down and out, you can't even get a date. So I'm sitting there having a bowl of spaghetti I could barely pay for, and I'm eating it. And I always stayed in the gym, so I was looking pretty good. And I look up, I felt somebody standing over me, and Stallone is standing there. He says, hey, how you doing? I said, oh, you know, hey, Sly, you know. He says, you look pretty good, blah, blah, blah. He says, listen, I'm doing this movie where I need somebody who looks like they can kick my ass. You want to go to work? I said, yeah, sure. And I had a Mini Cooper at the time, a 1963 Mini Cooper. I couldn't even fill the thing up with gas. I was so broke.
So you were so broke?
So he gave me, I think he gave me like 2 weeks work on To Get Carter, the remake of the Michael Caine movie. Yeah. And I went, wow, I could pay my rent now for 6 months.
And that kind of gave you a foothold back in the business.
It really
people
did.
say.
Yeah, it really did, because it was Sean Penn had given me like a day's worth of work, and then Sly, and so now that everything's been going pretty good since The Wrestler, you know, it's like Sly called me and said, "Listen, I'm doing this movie with a bunch of action stars. I'd love for you to come and work for a day." So, you know.
But here's something, because I imagine that's not the sort of part or film you would necessarily seek out after The Wrestler.
No, but the man came to my rescue
so
when
you
I was
did
down
him
and out.
Yeah,
and,
I know, I'm not knocking.
Yeah,
I'm saying it's clear to me you did that as a favour in return for him.
I did it as a favor, but also Sly's a very good writer. I mean, he said, "I need you for a day," and then I get there, and he had the dialogue written, and then when I got there, he wrote something that was like that long. And I go, "You want me to say all that?" He says, "Well, somebody's got to speak in the movie." I said, "Okay." Well.
But you know, it's interesting, it's an action movie I've seen. It's called The Expendables, and it's not out for a while, is it, over here? I don't know.
I don't believe.
It's
no.
out for a few weeks' time. I've seen it, and if I was like kind of 12, it would be, for me, the greatest movie ever made. I still loved it, but it's kind of a you know, one of those big action movies.
Well, he's good at that. The thing about Sylvester Stallone, he knows exactly what he wants. He put in Randy Couture, the UFC
guy,
fighter, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
but you also got in it. What a gosh, you've got
Jason Statham,
Jet Li. You've got briefly, you've got Dolph Lundgren, but you've also briefly got Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all of the big 80s action heroes in one film.
He called in all the markers. Yeah.
Do you notice a change in those actors, those performers? Because these guys have all been around for a while. And they were all young stars, or they all had some taste of stardom young, and now they're kind of mellowing. They're now getting older.
Well, I like it because Sylvester, what they call him Sly, he would walk around and he'd know everything, and then he'd say to these guys that could destroy him, "Just say the line." And I'm going, wow. You know?
He was completely in charge.
Oh, yeah, very in charge.
It's out on the August the 19th. It's not out till the summer, but I loved it. I went to see it with my son and his friends. They all loved it. Here it is. Have a look at the trailer for The Expendables. You've seen it though? You watched it?
No.
You haven't been to see it yet?
I haven't seen The Wrestler yet.
Okay. You haven't seen The Wrestler yet?
Or Iron Man, no.
Wow.
I need to let 3 or 4 kind of years go by before I watch stuff.
Why is that? What would happen if you watched it?
Because if I see something I don't like, I'll call the director up and the producers in the middle of the night and raise hell. Then I'd be out of work another 14 years.
So this is self-preservation?
Yeah, it is, really.
Let me ask you about Iron Man 2, because I thought you were tremendous. You haven't seen it, of course, we've established this, but you were great in it, and it was a great fun film. You played a Russian guy with Super's Whiplash, and but you learned a little bit of Russian for the part, didn't you?
The girlfriend's Russian.
The girlfriend's Russian? Is that how that came about? Did you meet her through Iron Man 2?
No, but it was the process. I went over. I was in Russia doing some research, and I went to one of the prisons there, and then I met a guy who just came out of a Russian prison after about 10 or 12 years, and I was looking at him, and he had all these crazy. I've seen old guys with a lot of ink.
They had that kind of weird.
Everything means something. You know, little things here on their fingers, all the way up their ass. The guy had he dropped his pants and he had 2 eyeballs down near his groin, and I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And he says, "Well, that means I'm watching over you." And I thought, I got to put those there. And they have the knees everywhere, so everything has
everywhere.
It's their criminal kind of history, what prisons they've been in, what their associations are.
It's a scary thing as well to see, I imagine.
Well, they didn't show me the scary prison, okay?
Yeah, but that one doesn't sound like it was a barrel of laughs.
No. The thing, they run a pretty tight ship over there. It's like
I imagine they do.
It's not like in the States. The guards run the prisons there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you don't want to be in one of those. So you went out and you actually went to jail. You met these guys. That was to give you a background for the part, to give you the character for the part?
I was searching it out because it was the character has in the story spent a decade or so with his father in a Russian prison, and I was just curious to see how it worked over there.
And how is your Russian? What kind of phrases do you have? Could you speak to someone in Russian? Could you have an actual conversation?
Not really. I mean, I could say hello, how are you, good night, what's your name, what's happening, I'd like to have this to eat, a few other words. And that's,
A few choice words?
Not really.
Can you tell us a word that your girlfriend's taught you?
No. She did nothing. I would work 3 hours a day with my Russian teacher, and I'd be so proud of it after, because it would take me 2 weeks to learn one sentence.
Yeah.
And then I would say it to her, and she'd go, "What are you saying?" You know, she made fun of my Russian.
Yeah. But it's so great to see you back doing the work that we know you can do, because you're just an incredible screen actor.
Well, I'm very grateful to be back. You know, you don't get a lot of things in life. You don't get a second chance.
Don't tell me that this evening, for
Well,
Christ's
no,
sake. What's wrong with you?
You know what
What's
I mean.
wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
I want you to come back with your head shaved.
I'm going to come back with some jail tattoos as well. How great to have you back on the show. Ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke from England. Great to see you. Look at that. That's a great jacket. Mickey Rourke, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mickey. Yeah, that's the way.